Avery, Emily Weisborough took a picture of you in Matthew O'Neill's garden mere days before he was murdered. What were you doing there?
Nothing. I mean, I was there, but I was just trying to find out why Matthew was sneaking around my garden.
Matthew was over here without your knowledge?
I'm almost certain he was stealing seeds from my tropicals. I found footprints all over the floor of my greenhouse. It was probably a futile effort to copy my success and beat me in the garden competition next year.
I see. Speaking of footprints, was Jack Delgado here yesterday morning?
As a matter of fact, he was. Now there is someone who could have killed Matthew.
What makes you say that?
Well, apparently Matthew refused to pay his bill, and Jack was pretty upset over it.
Yes, we've heard about that. Emily may be a snoop, but we've found Jack's footprints at every garden we visited. Maybe he can shed some more light on the situation. Taking his gloves back to him is as good an excuse as any to speak with him again. Jack doesn't appear to be around, but I think I'll wait.
Something I can help you with?
Hello, Jack. Is this your flyer for this year's garden contest?
Yep.
It says here, sponsored by Humboldt Chemical.
Yeah, they put up $5,000 cash and $5,000 worth of free Humboldt Chemical garden products for the winner.
My goodness, that's quite a generous prize.
Not only that, the winner gets to compete in a New England-wide competition where the prizes are even bigger.
I suppose that would explain why Matthew and Avery were spying on each other, despite their rivalry just being a friendly one.
Oh, it wasn't so friendly, Jessica. Not with all that prize money and free gardening products at stake. Once Matthew even asked me to tell him some of Avery's secrets, but I didn't want to get in the middle of it.
Oh, before I forget, Avery asked me to return your leather gloves to you.
Those aren't my gloves.
They aren't? Avery said you left them at his garden yesterday morning.
No, those gloves look pretty new. If they came from Maine Coast Garden Center, maybe Carol remembers who she sold them to.
Good thinking. I'll go ask her.
Miss Sullivan, do you sell this brand of leather work gloves here?
Yes, I do. Why?
We were wondering if you might remember who bought this particular pair recently.
I don't know, but I can probably find the invoice. I'm still looking for Avery's invoice, too. It's been so crazy here, and I'm short-handed. If I come across either one, I'll let you know, Sheriff.
Thanks. Are you okay, Carol?
Not really. Things have been so crazy. I have customers coming in for the latest seed shipment, but the packets have gotten lost.
Well, why don't you take a moment to look for that invoice while Mort and I get this sorted out?
Oh, Jessica,
That's fine, Carol. I noticed that you're still waiting on that mulch order.
Yes, I'm afraid so. Add it to my list of worries. I've got customers clamoring for it left and right.
There you are. The final toxicology results from Matthew's autopsy have come in. The poison was definitely ricin.
Are you sure?
Absolutely. It must have been introduced through the small punctures I found in his hand, since there was no trace of any poison in his stomach and no other visible wounds.
The rose in Matthew's hand. Maybe the punctures were inflicted by the thorns on the rose he was holding when we found him.
They certainly could have been.
Kinda makes the ownership of those reinforced leather gardening gloves Avery found all the more important. I wonder if it's possible to trace a flower back to the person who grew it.
It is, if the flower is fairly rare, and the person to ask about this flower would be Thomas Pickering.
Any chance you could tell us what kind of rose this is, Mr. Pickering?
It's a Verona rose. Very rare.
How many people in Cabot Cove grow Verona roses?
As far as I know, just one, Emily Wiseborough. She's actually gained some notoriety among rose enthusiasts because of her Veronas.
Is that why she earns at least an honorable mention in the garden competition every year?
It's fair to say so, and she really does an excellent job with them.
Would you mind if we poke around a little while we're here?
Not at all.
So Emily's the only one who grows Verona roses in Cabot Cove.
Don't jump to any conclusions, Sheriff.
If she grew the murder weapon in her garden, she has a lot of explaining to do, starting now.
Emily, do you mind if we take a look at your rose bushes?
Go ahead. They are award-winning, you know.
Mrs. Wiseborough, we know that the rose that was used to kill Matthew O'Neill came from your garden. The one we found in his hand exactly matches the ones you grow.
I didn't kill Matthew.
The evidence points to you, I'm afraid. You had means, motive, and opportunity.
I can prove I didn't kill him. I was on the phone with my sister in California at the time that Matthew was killed.
The telephone records will bear this out, Sheriff. Besides, anyone could have come into her yard, and where would she have obtained the ricin?
You got a point there. Emily, did you ever have any reason to suspect that the garden competition was being rigged in Avery's favor?
I always suspected that Thomas and Avery had some sort of special arrangement that kept Avery in first place every year.
What made you think this?
Well, that newspaper article you found, for one thing. After Thomas retired from Humboldt Chemicals, he used his connections with the company to increase the competition's prize and prestige in New England.
He neglected to tell us he used to work for Humboldt Chemicals. Is that why he was made president of the garden club?
Yes, it's also why our friendly garden exhibition turned into the fiercely contested event it is today. Everyone's spreading tales about everyone else.
With so much at stake in the garden competition, it would be surprising if there wasn't cheating involved.
And it all started when Thomas became president of the club.
We need to talk to him and find out if Emily's claim that Thomas and Avery had the competition rigged is true. Okay, Mr. Pickering, level with us. How did Avery Donaldson really win first place in the garden competition year after year?
His garden is consistently the best. That's all there is to it.
Thomas, what exactly did you do before you came to Cabot Cove?
I used to be a chemist.
Why didn't you tell us that before?
I didn't think it was relevant.
I'm afraid it is relevant, Thomas, since Matthew was murdered with ricin, a poison that was chemically extracted from castor beans.
And that's something you'd have the knowledge to accomplish.
My work at Humboldt Chemicals is what got me interested in how chemistry could improve gardening, but it isn't a reason to suspect me of murder. Besides, I don't have access to castor beans.
He has a point. Maybe we better speak with Jack again. It seems he might be the one with the real temper, not Matthew.